So it's been about a month since a few of us, Dom at Seeking a Thread, Alex Motor 24/7, Frank JBL 3000, 1000. There's a number after it. Frank from Pittsburgh, who I know is he's active in a lot of the streams, so many of you would know him. We all became roommates for a couple days in an Airbnb apartment, and just had like a divine record digging trip, which included scoping out stores in New York City and obviously attending the fair, where we all came home with I would say a decent amount of records. I know Dom at Seeking a Thread has shown his, and Alex has shown maybe part of his. I think we're all very pleased with most of what we purchased, and we were all excited. And Dom had brought a record player, so each night that we were there, we were playing records to late into the night and just talking and chatting and listening together. It's one experience that we all commented we don't have often. Is this is a pretty solitary endeavor, collecting these records and then finding the time to even listen to them, but to do it all together with other like-minded people, it's just a rare occasion. I came home with about 30 plus records. I haven't even listened to, I think, most of the stack still, nor have I listened to many of them lately for whatever reason. I think it's just the curse of a collector, and I've been continually purchasing things, in the 4 weeks since the fair ended. And any new thing that's coming in, I tend to focus on at that moment. But these are things that I've wanted, that I was always intrigued by, that I hadn't owned in any capacity yet. The first record that I saw on a wall when we first walked into the fair, when I was just absentmindedly walking around just staring at the display walls to see what might be intriguing, was this Robert Ashley Private Parts record, and with the blue cover. I can't remember, I might have owned the yellow cover version of this a few years back, but it was trashed. And then any other copy that I'd come across after the fact was not in good shape and sort of overpriced. This one was nicely priced. It was actually a seller that I was familiar with, because he sells in this area of New York State, like Western and into Central New York, and he's been at record fairs that I've attended, in the region. And actually, I just saw him again 2 weekends ago when I bought a couple more records from him. But anyway, he always has great stuff, and just by recognizing him, I knew that I was in. And then seeing his display wall, I was able to pick up this blue cover version of Robert Ashley's Private Parts. Robert Ashley's someone that I at first could not get into. I did not want any spoken word anything, but I've come around, and there are still some more Robert Ashley records that I need to pick up. Master Wilburn Burchett's Music of the Godhead for supernatural meditation. Superlatives, experimental, psychedelic, droney. Great music to play at night with maybe the lights dimmed low. Master Wilburn Burchett, who I believe he and his brother had passed away a couple months back. This is the only original copy of his that I've ever come across in the wild through my years of digging. So obviously, I'm happy to own, and there's still more that I need to find. I think the other records of his that I own are the reissues that came out, I think, periodically over the last decade. Hungarian or Turkish, Iancu Dumitrescu. Again, and you'll notice that a lot of what I'll show is, you know, experimental, avant-garde, not appealing to many people. Not records that, you know, I can sit downstairs and listen to with the family on the record player, but music that is almost like medicinal to me. And this record in particular, that track on side 2, Cojito, just, you know, wonderful stuff. Another release on Lovely Records, Gordon Mama. I don't know why this this cover has always reminded me of the movie The Rocketeer from like the early 90s. But again, it's a great experimental sound art. One of my big purchases was this French Jacques Baracol Parallels release on Avantage. Great shape. As soon as I saw this, I knew I had to have it. There was a French seller there that just had tremendous stuff. And, you know, many of us, you know, gawked at the things that we saw. And I know we got some heavy hitters from, you know, the boxes that guy had brought. And if I had come across him maybe earlier on, before buying other records, I probably would have bought more. There are a couple things that I do regret that I didn't pick up there, but some of it was a tad pricey, but he might have been willing to work on that. But I did get like one of my big purchases from him, a record that I never thought I would own, let alone see in person. And I'll get to that eventually. Keith Fullerton Whitman had a stand there, and I purchased this. Michel Dintrick. It's like a guitar, sort of in the Gaching Ashra vein. I do love this cover. Maybe slightly meditative and repetitive. I do not. This is so. I know I played one side of this when we were all together in New York City, but I don't think I've played it since I got home. But intriguing. I did like it. I look forward to spinning it again. A clean copy of Lamont Young's and Marian Zazela's, Theater of Eternal Music on Shandar. One of the records that I had purchased early on in the fair. Absolutely no regrets. As soon as I saw it, I checked it out to make sure it's clean, just because it's the type of music that you kind of don't want any static or noise or crackle with. And luckily, this has none of that. It's a very clean copy, very pleasantly drony. Just get lost in the repetitiveness of that drone type of deal. And you got one of the preeminent American the the reclusive Lamont Young. Chatham Square release, John Gibson's Visitations. This is a nice, again, experimental droney piece. A copy, I've come across copies before. None of them have been clean enough. Again, this is a record that you kind of need or want a clean copy of. Otherwise, you might even just prefer listening to it on a CD. I don't know if I have any other John Gibson. I can't remember who I might have actually bought this from. Maybe Billy's Record Salon. I could be getting that wrong. Yeah, I didn't really track where I bought these records, or didn't commit it to memory. Maybe if I sat down, I could really, work this out, but no one really cares. This is a great record. I looked at many jazz. I probably looked at more jazz than anything else, and I didn't bring enough home, but I did bring. This might even be an original or an early pressing. I haven't looked it up. It was a great price. This is one of the Archie Shepp records I was looking for, and just a beautiful copy. ABC Impulse. I'm sure from the label, many people would be able to tell which release this was. I still have to add all these records to Discogs. I did clean them. Still have to listen to most of them before I file them away. But very happy to find this. I got this from a seller that was only there on the Saturday. I probably would have bought more from them if they were there on Sunday, but they were only there the one day. My big purchase was this Igor Wakovich album, Dr. Faust. Not really the greatest covers, definitely, eye-catching, but psychedelic, theatrical even, just sound collage. He's, the eccentric Igor Wakovich. I know this was reissued a few years back, maybe on Wawa or a subsidiary of Wawa, but even that has gotten pricey. This was not, cheap by any means, but it was, this is from the French seller that I bought that Jacques Barricall, and it's cheaper than what I could find it for online, and it's in great shape. Couldn't turn it down. One of the highlights of my trip. Let me go put a record on. This is the final Between album that I haven't owned, probably because I knew I'd come across it and I knew it was cheap. I didn't feel any sense of urgency on it, but I would love to be, or maybe will, seems realistic, become like a Between Peter Michael Hamill completist. I almost purchased Betweens and the Waters Opened on Vertical Swirl, but I saw it near the end of the fair on a Sunday, and by then, I was pretty tapped out financially. But I did exchange information with the guy, seller out of New Jersey. I thought I'd come home and I'd purchase it right away, but I hadn't, and I still plan on contacting them. But I think this is the final Between album that I did not own yet, and well, now I have a copy. This is a great and awesome Embryo album. Christian Burchard with, a very colorful, eye-popping, eye-catching cover. Varied instruments, it's not like the early Embryo that you might be familiar with. Embryo, the albums where they, sort of travel the globe or travel down into Africa through the Middle East, and they sort of adopt some of the regional musicians and infuse them into their records. Some of my favorite Embryo. This one with just the African percussion is it's not krautrock anymore. It's not the Embryo krautrock. It's the evolved and Embryo expanding their universe and taking in other sounds, otherworldly sounds. And this is I believe a cheap record. As soon as I saw it, I knew I'd be getting it, as long as the actual record had looked clean. And I'm very happy to have added this. So Dom and I drove down together, and on our way to New York City, we stopped at Hudson Valley Vinyl. This stood out as in the new arrivals, so I was sort of, taking a lay of the land. I caught eye of this, and I knew I wanted it. It's funny, Popol Vuh has sort of popped up in discussion between a few of us on Instagram lately, and it seems like it's a group that's been, present on many of our minds. I believe like this soundtrack is different than the other cover of Nosferatu. I forgot what the story is behind this, but I want to say that the music is different than what appeared in the movie. If I'm wrong, someone can correct me or set me straight. But this was one of the records purchased at Hudson Valley Vinyl. I know Dom, we both eyed, there's a pram on the wall. As soon as we walk in, you look to your left. There's the one thing that we sort of honed in on. I saw another record, which I'll show, that I was more interested in. And obviously, if you watch Dom's videos, you saw that he picked up the pram. Got this great record at the fair, Tama, with, Ed Blackwell and the incomparable Don Cherry. Don Odin. I think I bought this from Billy's Records Salon. Billy's Records Salon, who hosted an awesome party that Saturday night of the fair. I think I bought this from him at the fair on Saturday. Our Hungarian artist Zoltan Jenny or Janae. To Apollo for Glass and Meadow, Soliloquium, number 3. I've shown another record from him in the past. If you see this name, buy it. You'll be intrigued. If you see this label, I don't think everything on this label is great, but I think you're in for a treat for most things. Hungaroton, not Hungaroton. Such a great cover. Music Research Library. The guys located in Massachusetts. I wish I would have saw some of their stuff. They had awesome records. I didn't get around to them until Sunday. I knew I wanted some more Italian stuff, and I wanted to find it at the fair. This is one of the Riccardo Senegalia records I did not have. Riflessi. See, like the Italian recommended records. Off Dumb Mill. You should know who that is, the drawing though. But, oh, this. Interesting label. Senegalia was in Futuro Antico, who another great sort of I don't know, it's experimental, psychedelic, worldly, infused instrumental group, very similar to Actuala. So that seller that I bought private parts from had this Alvin Lucier music on a long, thin wire. Great record. Another one on lovely. Hadn't owned a copy of this Ilhan Memorolu record of electronic compositions on the Finide label. I know a few people, I've shown this before. What do you expect? You expect, just varied electronic sounds that are gonna leave the listener intrigued. This is an early Kerr 93 EP, an original on the Lashed Hall label. Again, there's so much Kurt 93 out there, so much that David Tibet has done. He's another one whose voice, I'm hit or miss with. I do tend to find myself more intrigued by the earlier Kurt 93 stuff. I know maybe even before Kurt 93 has really developed their sound, but he's got John Balance from Coil on this record. This is I don't know if it's but it's, it's before he had Stephen Stapleton collaborating on, everything he was doing. Picked up this Aaron Dilloway I didn't own with Jason Lescalite. This is a nice droney affair. It sounds really great. It was sort of just really jumping out of my speakers, filling the room, bouncing off all four walls. I don't know if you can catch that cover. It's a guy being attacked by an octopus. Didn't own any Simon Fisher Turner. This is probably the one I was most likely to come across. Caravaggio, 1610. Sound sketches. Intriguing, interesting, worthwhile listens. These sound sketches that were created to soundtrack a Derek Jarman film. So the music research library guys that I bought the Ricardo Senegalia from had this Pascal Comalade Parallelo album. A kind of a more brooding, drony affair than affair. In comparison to much or other Comalade records that I've listened to. I do like that little charcoal sketch on the front. I do enjoy the brooding, drony nature of it. It's it's sort of darker than anything else from Comalade that I've heard, or maybe I just have heard the wrong things. I mean, I do enjoy his output, but this sounds great to me, and before I file it away, it's going to get many more listens. Another Kurt 93 on United Diaries in Menstrual Night. This is not an original. I believe the original was a picture disc, but this is David Tibet's Kurt 93 with I think Steven Stapleton's on the album. I don't know if he produces it or engineers it. He has his hands on it. Again, as I said before, the early Current 93 stuff sort of intrigues me. More so than, the folkier stuff that's to come. This record is amazing. Christina Kubish and Fabrizio Plessi. 2 and 2. Had wanted this for a while. This copy is clean. It sounds tremendous. I don't know if Plessi is still alive. I believe Christina Kubish is still alive. This one is Multifio Records, if I'm even pronouncing that right. I don't have the year off the top of my head. 77, roughly. I'd never come across this Harry Partch before. Always enjoy the Harry Partch records. Always very percussive, always interesting, always sort of, even slightly rhythmic. Pedals, Gate 5 Ensemble. Can't remember if I bought this at a store while we were in New York City. It's on CRI, by the way. Or at the actual fair. But very happy to have another Harry Partch. I know Michael Ranta worked with Harry Partch often. I don't think he's on this record. Anyway, there it is. Seen a copy of this quite a few times. Never picked it up. Knew about it, wanted it. The price was right. I think I might have got this at a store as well. Doris Hayes. Doing compositions by, luminaries such as Henry Cowell, Morton Feldman, Ilian Murmarolu, Leo Ornstein, Russell Peck. I haven't even listened to this yet. Sort of got stuck in the bottom of the stack. Stuck at the back of the stack. Picked this one, or actually I didn't even find this. Alex found it and I bought it off him because I know he had mentioned that when he finds copies of this, he purchases it. I bought it from him. Great. Side B is where it's at with this one as well. So who do you got? John Melby and then James Tenney. Saxony. Check that track out. It's funny, I remember I was looking at Paul Motion records maybe a couple years back, and then this one I'd come across, just because of the other players. Steve Lacy. Don't even really know who Kenny Davern is. I probably should know more. But this is a pretty good, slightly free jazz record. You got Davern on clarinet and soprano sax, Lacy on soprano, Steve Swallow bass, guitar, and then Paul Motion on percussion. This was a Hudson Valley vinyl purchase right out of the racks. This was my big Hudson Valley vinyl purchase. This Folkways Israeli electroacoustic music release was still sealed. It sounds amazing. Never had seen this one in person. Didn't really like the prices online, and for the fact that it was still sealed, I had to grab it. I have no regrets. Sorry, Alex. Sort of maybe very intellectual avant-garde jazz. Anthony Davis, episteme or episteme, depending on what language You're speaking. Hell of a list of players on there. I don't know if you can make it out. George Lewis, trombone. Abdul Wadud on cello. Warren Smith playing a whole host of percussion instruments. And then Anthony Davis on piano. And Academy Records on Sunday, Dom and I had stopped by after we had gone to Ergo Records. Saw some things that I probably would have bought, but they were common things that I tend to come across. But then I saw this vinyl on demand, Esplendor Geometrical, a Spanish, rhythmic noise industrial outfit. And had to pick it up. The price was good. All right. Until next time, thanks for watching.